Expreso mis más sinceras condolencias a todos los familiares de nuestra hermana Alcira Vega Romero.
I express my most sincere condolences to all the relatives of our sister Alcira Vega Romero, to her children Marta, Mauricio, Rosemary, Alfonso and Claudia Patricia, and other relatives, brothers and sisters. She departed with the Lord today at 91 years of age. And we remember that young lady who said to Brother Branham when he visited the sixth dimension, and a young lady told him, "Oh, my precious brother." In other words, he was surprised because she knew him. And she told him there, on earth, I was 90 years old when I received the Lord, that is, through the preaching. Now notice how there in that place, the people who arrive there are in that theophanic body that represents from 18 to 21 years of age, young, theophanic body that Jesus says in the Gospel according to John chapter 14, that he went to prepare a place for you, and he had written there in the Bible, theophanies. I go to prepare a place for you, and if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again, that is in his second coming, and receive you unto myself, that where I am, there ye may be also. Now that's where the believers in the Lord go to the sixth dimension, and they wait there, in that place, where they do not work, they do not eat, they do not sleep. The cares of this earth are not there, but instead they are resting, and there are trees and there are little birds. There are a series of things in which, like here, but in that state, from there, in that way, where everything is perfection. He tells us in the book of the seals, perfection plus perfection plus perfection. And he says, how will it be higher above? That is, in the seventh dimension. That is the place where our sister Alcira Vega Romero has gone to, which, for all the believers, the relatives, believers in the Lord, they have the hope that Paul said that they will return. They will resurrect at the last trumpet. And he said, comfort one another with these words, because there is hope and comfort for the relatives of brethren who depart and leave from among us a few days to rest, but knowing that they will return again at the last trumpet, and they will be with us again. And he says that they told him there, we will take bodies and then we will eat, because there they do not eat. But here, when they return, in that eternal and glorified body, they will be able to eat. However, if there is nothing to eat, then it will not be needed to eat. In other words, it's not by obligation as now, that you have to eat to be nourished, because if not, the person gets sick if he doesn't eat, and then he dies. And thus is also in the spiritual realm. If the person does not nourish himself with spiritual food, then he dies spiritually. He continues to get old and dies. And that is how it is also physically. But notice, they will return in an eternal and glorified body, and then they will eat. In other words, they are invited already. They themselves have told us that they will eat. So for those days, there will be days of joy, of rejoicing. And Brother Branham says, when that joyful day arrives, as it happened with the resurrection back then in the time of Jesus, And he said before that the earth would be with earthquakes and great shakings, just as it happened back then with the resurrection of Jesus. In other words, for the world it is a difficult time, but for God's elect, they will not see it as something bad, but as something positive, because we know that in those days the resurrection will take place. Happy days, days of joy, because we will see our loved ones once again. So therefore, all the relatives of our sister Alcira Vega Romero, who departed with the Lord, comfort each other with these words, and the words that God shows us through Paul. In other words, the Holy Spirit through Paul, where he speaks to us of those promises on 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 49 and on, and also in 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, verse 14 and on, and other promises that God had made for each believer in him. So, may God bless you and keep you. And I reiterate my most sincere condolences to all her children and all the family of our sister, Alcira Vega Romero.